Have you ever looked at a map and wondered, why on earth does the US own that weird, skinny strip of Alaska instead of Canada? Seriously, it looks like it was carved out with scissors after someone sneezed. Well, there's actually a wild backstory here, and it goes back almost 200 years. All right, picture this. It's the early 1800s. On one side, you've got Russia, busy sending fur traders and explorers all over Alaska. On the other, the British are slowly expanding their Canadian territories. Both empires are creeping closer and closer to each other, and the last thing they want is a war over snowy mountains and icy coastlines. So in 1825, they sit down and sign the Treaty of St. Petersburg. The deal was pretty simple on paper. Russia keeps the coastline. Britain takes the inland. Easy, right? Wrong. The treaty said the border had to follow the tops of the mountains no more than 55 kilometers from the coast. The catch? No one could actually agree on which mountains counted, or if they even existed in some areas. So already the map was a ticking time bomb. Enter the US was new player in the game. Fast forward to 1867. Russia is done with Alaska and sells it to the United States for $7.2 million, a bargain if you ask me. At first, Americans weren't thrilled. They called it Seward's folly, like it was just a giant block of frozen nothing. But then, gold was discovered. Suddenly, that narrow strip of land, what we now call the Alaska Panhandle, became the golden ticket. Canada, still under Britain's control, wanted in. They argued that the border should go deeper inland, which would give them their own Pacific ports and direct routes to the Yukon goldfields. But the US? Nope. They weren't about to give up a coastline that led straight to all that shiny gold. The big showdown, arbitration. So the dispute heads to arbitration in 1903. The panel had 6 members, 3 Americans, 2 Canadians, and 1 British guy who was supposed to be neutral. And here's the twist. He sided with the Americans. Why? Because Britain wanted to stay on America's good side more than it wanted to back Canada. That decision sealed it. The Alaska Panhandle officially stayed with the US, leaving Canada, cut off from those ports and the Yukon access they really wanted. Why it looks so weird today. Now, why does the border look so jagged and awkward on the map? That goes back to the original vague treaty. Instead of neat straight lines, the border snakes around mountain ridges and fjords. That's why the Alaska Panhandle looks like a skinny, toothy strip hanging off the US. What if it had gone differently? If Canada had gotten its way, they'd have gained extra Pacific ports, direct access to the gold, and an easier northern trade route. But history had other plans. And that's why today, the Alaska Panhandle is one of the strangest border quirks in the world. So next time you see that odd little slice of Alaska, you'll know it's not a mistake on the map. It's the result of centuries of power plays, vague treaties, and one very strategic gold rush.